When you think of Jesus, it might be tempting to think of him as half human and sort of half divine. You might read the Bible that way, the Gospels. You know, there are some things that Jesus does where you think, oh, that's him really being God. And there are other things, oh, that's him really being human. And the two sort of sit there together. So, now some problems with that. For instance, like, what about his death, his suffering, his cry of dereliction? What do you do with that? Definitely his humanity. Yep. But what of his divinity in that? Sort of, is it half and half, or I could make fun of the position because it doesn't make enough sense. I wouldn't be the first to do that, because there have been others in the early church, for instance, who did this, sort of a half and half. But the biggest problem, I think, is that a half and half view of Jesus, there's a God bit and there's a human bit, is that it's not an affirmation of our humanity. It's actually the opposite. They have to be separated, they're in their own little silos. And then you might think, oh, well, Jesus the person could pull on the divinity bit or the humanity bit when he needed it. But that would sort of be like dividing Jesus up. It's a real problem, actually. It makes him less than human in a way. So here's the question. If you took the God bit out of Jesus, what would be left? And you see, if you have the half and half view, you extract the God bit and the humanity would be left. And that's not what the church has ever thought. Again, that just shows that we're dividing him up into two halves, two bits, such that you could remove one bit and he's half a human left or something. It's not right. What about if you might think, oh, well, maybe there's another solution. People have done this in the past too. So, the human soul, well, that's the sort of the bit that is sort of closest to God in us, I suppose you might want to think. Therefore, Jesus didn't have a human soul. That was the God bit. It's like he had sort of like an entity in him, a God entity, a God bit in him. And the rest of him, though, was like us. But that's a problem too, isn't it? Because actually, if you took the God bit out, his humanity would be left, but it wouldn't be complete. It would be less. He'd be less than human. And again, it's not an affirmation of our humanity. And Jesus, being human and divine, has always been an affirmation of our humanity. That's a key reason why the half and half, or just there's some bit in him that's divine and the rest is human, are inadequate. So, the question, if you took the God bit out of Jesus, what would be left? The answer, and you've heard me say this, the answer is nothing would be left. That's the problem with the half and half, because if you took the God bit out, the humanity would be left. That's not what we're thinking. What we're thinking is that if you took the God bit out of Jesus, nothing would be left. Yet he is fully human, absolutely fully human like you and I. And yet if you took the God bit out, nothing would be left. So was he only human then? No. He was fully human and fully divine simultaneously at the same time. And yet if you took the God bit out, nothing would be left. See, God in Jesus can be fully united with humanity. And remember, humanity is not God. So God can be fully united with that which is not God, such that Jesus is the fullest expression of divinity that humanity can carry. Jesus is the fullest expression of divinity that humanity can carry. I haven't mixed the two up. There's not some third substance. We're not making a pudding, mix divinity and humanity together and come out with a third substance. The two aren't together like this. God, being God, is fully united with our humanity in Jesus, such that Jesus is the fullest expression of divinity that humanity can carry. God's bigger than, so to speak, our humanity, but the fullest expression of divinity. And that's why that's so profound and affirming of our humanity, because it says our humanity can carry God, can express God. It's not half and half. Our humanity can express God. Of course, only God can do that. Yep. But that is actually our destiny, by grace, to actually be the carriers of divinity, to become like Jesus. And remember, Jesus' flesh, just exactly the same as yours and mine, there's no little bit left out. His flesh is made of stardust, like virtually everything. So stardust can carry God. And stardust can do that in a way that is the fullest expression of divinity that creation can do. How about that? That's what we're saying about. A lot more things about Jesus. I'm going to say some of them at Christmas. But that's why the reading today says, Emmanuel, God is with us in Jesus. That's what we're thinking. More than that, but not less than that. There is no greater affirmation that I could think of than to say that Jesus is the fullest expression as a human being. He's human like you and I. Is the fullest expression of divinity that creation can carry. Stardust, human flesh like you and I. And in that, he is a fulfilled human being. And that's our destiny. In fact, it's the destiny of the whole of creation in that sense, of being fully united with God. Now, this is one of the resources in the toolkit of Christianity that has created the human rights tradition that the world now takes for granted. You know, this notion that I've just spoken about of Jesus, that was new. We didn't get it from paganism or somewhere else. That was new. It was a great affirmation of being human. And as I say, for instance, there were lots of things that flowered from this. One of them was the human rights tradition. In Jesus, God affirms the whole of creation, the union of stardust and God. It begins in him. The true fulfillment of humanity achieved in his birth, life and death and resurrection. God with us, Emmanuel. Amen.